And now, introducing, he puts the works in Bath & Body Works, the Beyond in Bed Bath & Beyond. He'll handle your Yankee Candle. He is Glenn Clark.
Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn Clark. He is Paul Valley. Dreary Thursday here in Baltimore. But we got much to do on the program today. In just a couple of minutes, Bradley and Nikki Bozeman are going to join us. As you know, they've been two of my absolute favorite humans over the time that they have been here in Baltimore. They are moving on. They are headed to Charlotte, and he's going to play with the Panthers this year, and we'll see what the future has in store for the Bozemans. And they remain committed to the city of Baltimore and all the work they've done through the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation. So we will chat with them here momentarily on GCR a little bit later on. We're going to chat with Kyle Stackpole from CBSSports.com, one of my former interns. We'll do an NFL draft segment with him. And I feel like you're trying to tell me that there's something else that we're doing this morning.
Dan Connolly, 11:05.
I know a lot of people were reacting to Dan's piece about Trey Mancini's future this morning in The Athletic. We will talk to him about that as well. So that's all coming up on the program today. Appreciate all the feedback we got about yesterday's show. Look, man, they can't all be quite like that. I wish they were, but they can't all be quite like that, as obviously it was an unbelievably loaded show from start to finish. A lot of emotional stuff in there, Marcus Williams, and so much more. Appreciate all of you that maybe found us because of yesterday's show. We try to do things like that pretty frequently. We try to have significant shows, noteworthy guests, things along those lines, and we hope that you will stick around and continue to be a part of the show moving forward. Obviously, the big story yesterday in sports was Tyreek Hill, and we sort of saw it unfolding as the show was going on, but didn't get to the finale as he ended up going to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks. I don't really have a hot take. I mean, I don't, and I mean that. I don't really have a hot take about Tyreek Hill. As I've said already, I'm honestly glad that it's not something that the Ravens are going to be doing, because you guys know how I feel about Tyreek Hill, the human. We know, of course, that Tyreek Hill, the football player, is outstanding. I saw a weird response yesterday where there were a lot of people that were trying to play along the lines of, I think losing Tyreek Hill will have less of an impact on Patrick Mahomes than losing Patrick Mahomes will have on Tyreek Hill. And it was interesting to me because I get the point that you're trying to make. The point that you're trying to make is that Patrick Mahomes is so good, he could probably just make the next guy good. And I'm going to disagree with that.
Mecole Hardman season.
Sure, fine. We've watched when Tyreek Hill hasn't played. They're not the same offense. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't find someone else that can't be a particularly special playmaker. I don't think it's going to be Juju Smith-Schuster, but it doesn't mean they couldn't find somebody in the draft that couldn't be a really talented, capable, special type of player. But we constantly do this bit, and it is a wild bit, where we pretend like quarterbacks can just make anybody better. And it has never, ever, ever, ever been true. Aaron Rodgers can't make Equanimeous St. Brown Devontae Adams. He can't do it. No quarterback can make someone now they can make it more productive. You can have a season in which someone is a bit more productive because of the offense and the capability of the quarterback than they would have been if they had spent the season catching balls from Mitchell Trubisky. But you can't make them better. This is nonsense. It has never been true, no matter how many times we shout it into a void. It's why teams have to surround their quarterbacks. You don't just have to sign your quarterback. You got to surround your quarterback with talent. If the Chiefs say, hey, there's a limit to that, there's only so much that we can do. We've already spent all this money on Patrick Mahomes. We can't also break the bank over a wide receiver. Okay. But they're going to have to find those guys. And they clearly have one particularly special playmaker in Travis Kelce. But they have to find those guys. It's good news for the Ravens and the rest of the AFC that at the moment it doesn't appear as though they have those guys. That's a good thing. Makes it more palatable that you could go up against them this season. But the idea that the quarterback can just constantly keep making whoever is thrown out there better because he's a good quarterback has never been and will never be true. Not a thing, no matter how many times we attempt to say it. All right. Join a proud new generation of Baltimore police and make an active difference in your community. Start with competitive wages and excellent benefits on day one. Join for good at bpdrecruit.org. And you know what? That's kind of fitting because I know our next guests have been partnered with the Baltimore police over the years. And it's very difficult. I got kind of emotional talking about them over the weekend on social media. You guys know that I try to be as objective as possible, but sometimes objectivity is difficult because of feelings that you have. And on a personal level, and it's not even personal, it is objective seeing what they've done for our city, what they've done for our community, how committed they've been since the moment that they arrived to make an impact here. I know that's going to continue as they move on, but it still pains me to say they're moving on as he is signed with the Carolina Panthers. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the program Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, who are with us now here on GCR. Guys, we don't do goodbye. We do, like see in a bit, but we'll get to that. Thank you for taking the time as always. It's good to chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like always good to get on and talk to you guys. So.
Bradley, I appreciate it, man. And Nikki, I got to start with you because I was talking with Pat yesterday. How in the world did you guys miss out on the Zeitlers wine trip out to Napa? That sounds like the party of the century.
I know. I was so sad. So we were all supposed to go, and then we went through free agency, and with the days just being so crazy and coaches calling and stuff like that, we just didn't, I couldn't get on a flight for 5 hours and us not have our phones. So it was just more of we probably need to handle business before we go on vacation. So I am so jealous because they looked like they had so much fun. So, and Haley and Pat aren't big wine drinkers anyway, but she said she found a good wine to sip by the pool. So I'm definitely jealous.
It's funny you say that. He told us he's so much not a big wine drinker that it literally made him sick. That he drank so much wine that he found himself legitimately sick and still recovering as we were chatting yesterday from the trip out to Napa. All right, let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about it. When did you guys know? And maybe I guess Bradley, I'll start with you. When did you kind of make peace with, it's just not gonna be back in Baltimore, and that's all right. We know we've talked to you guys. You'd moved, you'd shifted down to Nashville where you're building a home. When did you make peace with? It's just not gonna be Baltimore. We're gonna be on to the next journey, wherever that might have been.
We knew it was a possibility that Baltimore might not be in the realm of possibilities. It just so happens that it didn't turn out that way. So, but just so grateful for everything, for everyone we've met, all the coaches, all the players, the front office, the organization for giving me just the opportunity they did. A kid from Roanoke, Alabama, doing the things I'm doing now, just that opportunity, that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the opportunity by the Ravens. So just so grateful, all the fans, all the, just really everyone, all the friends that we've met, all the friends that have turned into family for us, just so grateful to everyone involved, and just the love and support that we got whenever we did commit. We signed with the Panthers, was very overwhelming. So good to see, just so many people reaching out on social media, and just saying thank you and, just wishing us best. And, it's such a great city, such a great organization. Just so thankful for that opportunity and very thankful for this opportunity going forward with the Panthers. So, just like I said, just thankful.
Nikki, when did it hit you? When did you have a moment you're like, this is how this works, and we're ready for the next step in this?
Yeah, I'm always pessimistically optimistic. I feel like that's my whole life because you just never know. I mean, you can sign a contract and make all this money and get traded the next day. So it's just there's no security, and that's just part of the business. But I think we're always a glass half full, so we try to look at all the positives. But I think it hit us after we signed our deal and we're driving. We were staying in Charleston with a group of friends from our neighborhood in Nashville. And actually, the Holdens, they used to play. He played in left tackle or tackle in Baltimore. So,
Oh, okay,
but
yeah,
when we
sure.
were, yeah, so we're best friends with them. So they had a house in Charleston that we drove to kind of afterwards. But as we were driving, I was just like, wow, and everyone was reaching out and nothing but love. And then, people on the Panthers team were reaching out. So I thought it was cool on both sides. But yeah, I think that's probably when it hit me
Of
the
course,
most.
Will Holden is who the Bosemans are referring to. They're friends with. Is there any regret at all? Is there any I wish, or is it such a new, unique opportunity that you can kind of feel a clean break about it, and you don't have to think about what might have been, or maybe regret's the wrong word. Is there any frustration, any bitterness, anything along those lines?
No, I think we all make the decisions we make in life for a purpose. I think that everything happens for a reason. I think that God has a huge hand in everything that we do and say, and the path that we take. And I have no regrets on what's happened. You live with the decisions that you make, and just so, like I said, so thankful for this next opportunity. And like I said, just so grateful for the past opportunity. So I know it's all going to work out how it's supposed to. I put my faith in God, and just moving forward, just trying to make the best out of every possible situation. So just like I said, I live by the decisions that we make, and it's however it turns out in the end. I know I'll have put everything I've had into it, every single ounce of right and wrong, just to do the right thing. So,
Bradley, if I could follow that up, we just had Michael Pierce on the other day, right? If at some point in the future these paths worked again, when you say if there's no bad feelings, would you say to yourself, hey man, if that's where my path took me back, yeah, I could come back to Baltimore at some point down the road? Is there a thought? Again, obviously right now Carolina is your focus and that's what you're doing because it's your job, but when I say no hard feelings, does that mean that, like, hey, if that's the way that life took us, yeah, we could end up back here down the road at some point?
yeah, absolutely. I never burn any bridge, and never, always leave those doors open for sure. We don't know where our path's going to take us. We didn't know our path was going to lead to Carolina this year. But like I said, so grateful for the opportunity, and just going to try to make the very best out of it. And just we'll go forward from here. So.
Bradley and Nikki Bozeman with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Nikki, I know when we talked the last time, you talked about how important it was to stay connected with the community, and that wasn't going to be something you guys were just going to completely break with. Have you started to sort of have a vision for what that might look like moving forward?
Yeah, so that's what I've been hard at work doing, and we have thought it's so important. I got a text the other day. I think I posted on Twitter from, a friend of ours that's an ER orthopedic, and she was like asking a boy, hey, he had broken his arm, I think, and she was trying to distract him, and she was like, what's your favorite football player? And he said Bradley Bozeman because he gives me food when I'm hungry. So I just think like there's such like a impact that you're having, and I think wherever we have this foundation, it's going to stay and continue to grow. So April 1st, we're launching a collaboration with Weekend Backpacks at Stewart Hill Academy, and that collaboration is going to allow us to grow our program in Baltimore. So it's 100% staying in Baltimore and growing and flourishing. I think the city has kind of embraced and engulfed that program. So we're looking forward to grow it in Baltimore and also bring it to Carolina.
Man, that's awesome. That's an incredible, powerful thing to say. And we've seen, some other athletes in the past. Torrey Smith, who at one point ended up in Carolina, who said the same thing. Like, I'm just going to continue. Baltimore's going to be a focus for me. I got work I want to keep doing there, and that's a really powerful statement for someone to make. It would be easy to just say, no, we're somewhere else now. That's where we're getting paid. That's what we're going to worry about. That's really incredible. It's really incredible that you are continuing to do that. Have you started scouting Charlotte at all, and like plans for down there and things that you want to accomplish while you're with the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, well, he reached out for like fun stuff to do in Charlotte, but on like a foundation note, we're starting to kind of talk to the right people and make some connections, and we're looking for, people in the police department that we can talk to and kind of get a better landscape of the city and the need. Because, with this program I know Johns Hopkins did a whole bunch of research that we used for our Think Snack program to really find the best need in the city. So we want to do something similar with some of the universities in Charlotte. So to kind of find, geographically and statistically, like what is the most need and the most impact you're going to have in an area. So that's, I feel like you're like, all right, you signed, you find somewhere to live,
Right.
and you just keep going. So that's this week we're working on house stuff and kind of finding out what we're going to do, and then next week we're going to start having those meetings of where we can start to grow this program in Charlotte.
That's awesome. Bradley, the guys that might end up snapping the ball here in Baltimore, there's a thought that maybe Pat could move back to center. There's a thought that it might be Tristan's time. We all know how good Pat was at tackle a year ago, right? The Ravens just happened to bring in Morgan Moses, so there's a thought that he's probably going to end up moving. Can you give me a thumbnail on those two guys and how comfortable you think Ravens fans should be that things are going to be all right despite the fact that maybe you're moving on?
Yeah, regardless of which guy gets the job, whoever gets the nod, they're going to do a great job. They're both very knowledgeable. They're smart guys. They've played the center position before, and, Pat has done a great job at it, managing that offensive line. And then also Tristan, when he has had the opportunities, he's came in and played well. It's who really knows? I'm sure they're going to probably be battling out all through training camp, all through OTAs, and whoever gets the nod is well deserved, because both those guys are great competitors and always work hard and do the right thing. So I don't see any issue with either guy. So just wishing nothing but the best of luck to those two, and just hope that they can give their all and come out healthy through all this.
All right, this is the important question, obviously. Are you into Carolina barbecue, or are you going to have to smile and nod and fake it and because you're in Carolina now and pretend like you're into vinegar-based barbecue that has very little taste instead of, like, real barbecue from a place, say, like Dreamland Barbecue?
Well, you know us. I mean, we love food. So, like, it's not hard to get into any kind of food for us, but I love the vinegar base.
Really?
That's actually my preferred.
No.
I've always have. I think I was burnt out on the other styles a little bit as a kid. I still like them. Don't get me wrong, but vinegar base is kind of my go-to.
This might actually somehow be worse than the banana mayonnaise sandwich thing. I got to be honest with you. Like, come on, man.
Your hot food takes. We should have asked Mark.
Right. Right, Nikki, do you like? Look, man, I understand what you're saying, Bradley. Food is food, and like I'm not saying I would never eat Carolina barbecue, but you're telling me I got the choice of getting real sweet Southern barbecue versus vinegar. The one thing I'll give Carolina is hush puppies are legit, right? Like I'm all in on hush puppies, but see, I can never imagine choosing Carolina barbecue over, by God, Southern barbecue.
Yeah, he definitely does. Now that I'm trying to recollect on our cross-country trip, you really did choose Carolina. Yeah, he really did. The vinegar-based. Okay, so I'm I like the extremes when I'm eating. So I will get like a super sweet like barbecue sauce as like a quarter pound of. Is that a lot? Quarter pound?
No, it's not that much.
I'm very, whatever it is.
No.
I'm very bad at portions. Anyway, so a little bit of pulled pork, but then I'll get a chicken or something with the Carolina barbecue, so I can go back and forth because I feel like the contrast is what I like.
Really?
So
that's fascinating.
I guess I couldn't put a nail on it, but yeah, you definitely do choose the vinegar base.
That's
interesting. I've never thought about that.
That's so weird to me. I don't know.
We'll send you some up. We'll send you some good Charlotte barbecue.
All right,
and
all right,
you'll
all
change
right.
your mind.
Oh, I would happily come down, man. It's a great town. It really is a
All right,
tremendous town.
there you go.
And I'm jealous of how close you'll be to Bojangles. We don't have many up this way. They'll be everywhere down there, and I could pound some Bowberry biscuits when I get the opportunity. That's a win.
I
and a
really
half.
don't think I've had them before. and
How's
all
that
of our
possible?
friends rave about them. We didn't have Bojangles in my town. Have you had them?
We had it in Tuscaloosa, but I never went.
You have or haven't had the blueberry? You've never had them?
Dude,
You haven't had
that is. I mean,
That's weird.
I know it sounds low rent, but you're gonna end up needing to make a trip very quickly and eradicate that problem from your life. Everything else is good. The chicken's good. The biscuits are. The Bowberry biscuits will make you sing. You will literally find yourself singing as you devour a Bowberry biscuit.
Well, you know what I'm really looking forward to?
What's that?
It's the cookout. Have you ever been to a
100 legit is.
Oh my god, the tray.
All right, what's your go-to order at a cookout?
Oh, it's obviously the tray. It's the double cheeseburger, the corn dog, and the quesadilla.
Okay.
And then like a peach cobbler shake.
Oh yeah, the shakes at cookout are. Look,
Yeah.
as you know, as you guys, yeah.
Shake when you go. It's like $1 more to sub out for the drink for a shake. So,
as you guys know,
still-
I have great affinity for Chick-fil-A, and I love Chick-fil-A milkshakes. But the shakes at cookout are otherworldly. Like,
I still don't understand how they put that tray together for that price.
it's amazing.
It's really a sick thought. I don't want to think about it. Like, there's no way you should be able to get that much food for like $5.
I don't know what the lines. I remember being. It's funny because you guys are going down to Nashville now. I remember trying to go to a cookout after a night out of imbibing bourbons in Nashville one evening, and the line, I mean, like, was 50 cars deep, and I did not care. I was waiting in that line to get me some cookout. I needed it that bad that evening. I was not driving, to make it clear.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not behind the wheel.
No, not at all. It's that good, and it is that worth it. How's the house coming, by the way, in Nashville?
Oh, it's amazing. We are going over there today. They're pouring concrete on the back patio, hopefully getting spray foamed in the next week or so.
all the inspections have passed up to the store.
Nice.
Moving and grooving. So
That's
it'll be
awesome.
good to have, a home base. And obviously our parents are just jumping for joy because we're 3 hours from each of them. So now it's like his mom's like, so what are you doing next weekend? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
But we are excited.
That's awesome. Can I handle like 2 journalism related questions and let you guys handle them however you want to handle them? Is that all right?
Of course.
Okay. Bradley, does the word prove it do you feel any of that as you end up taking a 1-year deal in Charlotte?
Not really.
Okay.
I've heard prove it. I've heard, gambling, whatever you say. Listen, I'm always going to bet on myself. I'm always going to go out and compete. I'm not afraid of competition. I'm always going to go out and put my best foot forward and do the absolute best that I can. Because, I think I've told y'all this before. My father, we had told me we had just lost. It was like a peewee football game. Like, it wasn't anything serious, nothing on the line. It was like our county rival. And we lost. We got beat pretty good. And I got home and I was crying and all that stuff. And he looked at me and goes, son, if you can look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you've done absolutely everything your possible will to be able to do the best that you possibly could, you have nothing to be ashamed of. And I've lived my entire life by that motto. I have nothing to be ashamed of up to this point, and I plan on not having anything to be ashamed of going forward. I'm going to go in and I'm going to compete. I'm going to show them what I got. Hopefully they like it, but if not, then we'll see we'll do whatever we have to do. So, it's like I said, I'll always bet on myself. And I'll always put my best foot forward. So I'm just super excited about the opportunity, honestly.
And for Christ's sake, you're already 5 years in after being a 6th round pick. I mean, my God, you've already beat the odds. You've already proven everything.
we're playing on house money,
right?
We're
right.
We're rolling with the punches, and we're going to try to keep this trend continuing.
It's a lot different.
If you would have asked me.
I was going to say, it's a lot different than living in an RV a few years ago and not knowing what.
Yeah,
right.
It's a lot different than that for sure.
And then I also have to ask, there was a report that the Ravens offered you an extension at the end of the year. Is it something that you can comment on at all?
Yeah, we went back and forth a little bit, and unfortunately, neither sides came to agreement. But it kind of is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
We've made the best of our opportunities. We've left everything out on the football field, and like I said, I'm excited about this next opportunity, and so grateful to the Ravens for the past opportunities and to the Panthers for the future opportunities. So, just like I said, just grateful.
All right, when is it time, both of you? I've seen the pictures you guys hanging out on the beach. Nikki, do we have to consider like maybe a Bradley Bozeman calendar, like a modeling calendar for 2023, maybe to benefit the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation with all like the sexy beach photos?
I've really thought about it. I mean, I'm going to just take photos of him just like fishing in our fish tank in college. I mean, that's a classic.
Wait. Fishing in the fish tank? I need a little.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things this man does that I feel like over the years have just got, I'm like, so he's just, it's this video and he was, what did you say? I literally come out and I'm like, what are you doing? He has his shirt off and he literally has his fishing pole in the fish tank.
How big was the fish tank?
It's like a 55 gallon. It wasn't like, I mean, it's big, but not massive. Oh man, he'll have to send it to you.
I need to see it.
But just like stuff like that over the years, I'm like, we could do a compilation of these and it would be like just hilarious.
I am so in favor of this. I will put the down payment for the first one when you guys do it for 2023. The sexy Bradley Bozeman photo calendar. I am all in for that. Guys, you know how much we love you. It pains me. The night that we spent together with Mo, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, will be the most important night that I've ever experienced in this profession and in this business. And I will never forget all of the things that you did for that young man and everybody else in this community, and look forward to seeing more of it. Let's make sure we get all the plugs in again, of course. Now, wait a second. The website changed so much. Bozeman Foundation, is that what back to?
BozemanCharity.com.
Bozeman, damn it. It's the first time I missed in a long time. BozemanCharity.com. At Brad Nikki Bose, at BS Bose, at 1 Nikki and 3. I got all those right. I do know that.
Yep.
Truly love you guys and really grateful for everything you've done. Wish you the absolute best down in Carolina, and I know we'll be talking again real soon. Thank you, as always, for taking the time for us, not only this morning, but for the years that you've been doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you guys always for having us on and being so supportive of everything we do. We really appreciate you and appreciate all the listeners for bringing us back. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, man, this is tough. You guys know. I mean, we have been very lucky to have them. And as I said earlier in the week, it's frustrating to think about, like, really, that was the number? We couldn't have just kept Bradley Bozeman around at that number? I'm going to think about that forever, right? Like, I'll think about that. I mean, I say forever.
Until he comes back.
Or until, Pat McCary or Tristan Colon Castillo plays incredibly well next season. And then we're like, okay, it worked out. All's good. If there are issues next year at the center position, we're really going to think about it. We are really going to think about it. But two truly amazing humans, and no doubt their impact will continue to be made. And there's a lot of second guessing involved with this, and a lot of, did somebody make the wrong bet and all those things. As I said before, I also think that there are times where it's just time. And it's a human thing that can't be defined by calculations and, numbers and all of those things. That you just get to a point where it's, okay. We worked on some things. It wasn't meant to be. We go do something else now. And that's just the way that it goes. And I think there's a human level to this that people forget about sometimes. And I greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate Bradley and Nikki Bozeman hopping on with us for a couple minutes this morning. We actually could push the break. We could do that since we're up at 10:29 right now. Today's show is also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Of course, the FanDuel Sportsbook is open in the Live Casino and Hotel here in Hanover, Maryland. And we're going to be back on Monday, April 4th for the NCAA Championship game. We hope that you will come join myself and Rodney Elliott, the former Dunbar and Maryland star. We've had a great time hanging out the last couple of weeks with you guys. We're going to be back for the title game on Monday, April 4th. Hope you will come join us as you can continue to get your bets in right through the end of the tournament. A lot of people get excited for the first weekend of the tournament and then forget that it's still the same tournament that's going on. It's the same tournament that starts again tonight with the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight over the weekend, and then next weekend the Final Four and the title game. And if you get a $50 or more bet in on any of those games for the rest of the tournament, and you're a Live Rewards member, you can register your bet to win a $500 bracket bonus. 10 of them will be given away. 10 $500 bracket bonuses will be given away to Live Rewards members. If you're not a Live Rewards member, then maybe go down tonight, wander up to the window, introduce yourself, and say, I want to register my $50 bet to win a bracket bonus, but I'm not a Live Rewards member. Can you help me? And Bruce Billick's wonderful team there at the FanDuel Sportsbook will take care of you. They will get you signed up for Live Rewards so you can register that $50 or more bet on any NCAA tournament game to win one of those 10 $500 bracket bonuses. That's what you need to know. And again, we will see you for the title game on April 4th in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. All right, thanks again to Bradley and Nikki. It is time for this week's NFL Draft segment, and we want to start putting into focus, given what the Ravens have done in free agency, where we think their priorities should be. Joining us once again, we told the story the last time he was on with us, former intern of ours here at PressBox and someone who's doing incredible things now as he is working for CBSSports.com as an NFL draft analyst. We welcome back to the program Kyle Stackpole, who's with us once again on GCR. Kyle, what's going on, bud? How are you?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. Hope everything's well with you, Glenn.
Everything is good. Hang on one second. There we go. Just had a small technical issue. We're trying to get that fixed on our end. But appreciate it, man. All right, so let's start taking a look. I want to talk specifically about a couple of position groups, and I want to get some defined answers. And if I could, I'm going to start because I looked at your most recent mock draft, and I saw that you have the Ravens going edge rush. And seeing as how things didn't work out with Zadarius Smith and trying to bring him back, I think that makes an awful lot of sense. So kind of two-parters. What's your confidence level that Jermaine Johnson would still be there at 14? It feels like there are people that believe that he's legitimately a top 10 type of talent. And in what ways does he separate himself from some of the other non-Aiden Hutchinson edge rushers in this draft?
Yeah, so I think there's a good shot that he gets there. I think the edge rusher class is pretty stacked and it's pretty deep as well. So I think that there's a shot he gets there. There's also other positions that teams are going to want to pursue aside from edge rusher. And you could have teams moving up for quarterbacks. You can have them drafting receivers. Basically, if you get a run on one or two positions, you're going to have Jermaine Johnson fall to number 14. But the reason I like him is because he has the production to match the explosive traits that everyone likes to talk about. And it's easy to fall in love with these prospects because of their freakish athleticism. But at the end of the day, it's all about results. It's how often can you pressure the quarterback, how often can you bring him down, batted passes. And it was only 1 year at Florida State after coming over from Georgia, but 11.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. It's extremely impressive. And he's someone who really has made a name for himself throughout the draft process, starting from the Senior Bowl and then going to the NFL Combine. And I think that's big because he's performing against some of the best at the Senior Bowl, and he was one of the top standouts. So then he just continued his momentum into the NFL Combine. So I think it's someone that can come in right away, and it's hard to anticipate, elite production from an edge rusher in the rookie year, aside from guys that are, top 5, top 3 picks. But he's someone who can, I think, get you some production and while learning. That's why I also think the Ravens regardless of if they take an edge rusher at 14 or not, they should definitely bring in a veteran guy too, just so they have a complement of pass rushers, because really you can never have enough. And with that division now with Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow, they're going to need to get after the QB.
No freak. And look, obviously they prioritize secondary, right? Like they have kind of gone the analytic route of saying, we're going to build the back end up front and invested huge money in Marcus Williams and doing that, and hopefully that pans out. But I'm still with you. It's interesting to me, Kyle. I understand that when you do, and I use the word analytic. I'm not using it as pejorative. People feel that way sometimes. I'm saying that is the data will tell you that's the new way to build a defense, is to build it from the secondary front. But I still watch the critical moments of games. The most important defensive play that was made all year by the Ravens a year ago was Odafe Oweh forcing a fumble in the backfield at the end of the game against the Chiefs so they could finally beat Kansas City. We still see the Von Miller impact. The most important plays in the Super Bowl were made by the front. I get it. The data says build from the secondary, but I deal with this all the time. I still think when it comes down to actually winning a football game and getting one play to get your team off the field or to set a team back, that play is almost always going to have to come from your front seven.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. The only reason I would maybe looking at the cornerbacks as well, because I think I think admittedly I've been undervaluing the cornerbacks in my previous mock drafts, and I think that if there is one of those three top cornerbacks there, I think it would be worth the Ravens taking a hard look. But I do get what you're saying, because, edge rushers, they make plays happen. Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl, clinching it for the Rams. But I just think the only difference would be the depth of the edge rushers in this class. It's deeper than the cornerbacks, where I feel like after the top three, there's a drop off. Whereas after Hutchinson, you have 6 or 7 edge rushers. I feel like maybe even more that could, come in and give you, similar production, or, maybe become a guy that separates himself from the rest of the class. So I get what you're saying with the edge rusher. I think it just depends. And I know the Ravens, there could be a shot that if it's, Trent McDuffie against Jermaine Johnson, based on their history, you got to think they're probably going to end up going with McDuffie.
All right, let me come back to the corners in a second. We're chatting with Kyle Stackpole for this week's draft segment. I want to stick at edge rush for a second if I could, because there's 2 other guys I specifically want to talk about. One is one that I admittedly haven't paid as much attention to, and part of it I think is because of what you just brought up in terms of production. And we just saw the Ravens, take Odafe Oweh a year ago with almost no production in what was, of course, a weird, truncated COVID season. George Karlaftis is a guy that, some people are extraordinary high on, and there are other people that say, yeah, I don't know, man, 4.5 sacks. I just don't know if I see it. Where are you in just simply how you evaluate Karlaftis, and is the production significant for you, or is it the sort of old story of, hey, this is what's going to happen when you play at Purdue and you're the guy, you're going to get all of the attention, and it's going to be more difficult for you to make plays in the backfield because of it?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with your point about being the guy at a school like Purdue, and when other better Big Ten teams are game planning offensively, they're going to say, okay, we have to, as long as we stop this guy, we're good. So they're going to chip with the tight end, they're going to double team, they're going to do whatever they have to do so that the game doesn't come down to Karlaftis making a play and all of a sudden Purdue, gets an upset, even though Purdue is actually pretty good, upsetting a couple teams this year. But I don't think the production is really that much of an issue. His pressure rate was still pretty strong. It was better than his 2019 season and 2020. Okay. So sometimes it's just a matter of sometimes you just don't. You'll have seasons where you just don't bring the quarterback down as much. But when you look at the deeper analytics, you're still seeing that he's getting pressure on the quarterback at a rate that you want to see from a guy that you would draft in the top 15.
And then the biggest story.
I think
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Kyle. I finished that thought because I want to move on to another player.
Okay. Yeah. So I think he's a guy who he already has he looks like an NFL defensive end in college. He's got good technique. He has a extremely relentless motor. He's got a lot of energy. He's someone that I think is going to endear himself to Baltimore if they end up picking him, because I think they know what they're going to get with a guy like Karlaftis. He's going to be a hard worker. He's going to do everything the right way. And I think over time, you're going to see those sacks and quarterback hits come, even if they didn't come last year at Purdue.
All right. The other player, and the biggest story of the past week, of course, unfortunately, in the draft world, was the injury to David Ajabo at Michigan Pro Day. And I know that we don't still have all of the details, but and I'm not, Jalen Smith is the comparison, of course, that comes to mind for some people as far as how do you handle this? Where do you still consider the talent? Kyle, I have not been able to shake that I would be more interested in David Ajabo if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, because the guy that figured out exactly how to make him work is the guy that's running your defense. I acknowledge that at this point you're definitely not picking him with your 14th pick, because you need your 14th pick to be a guy that's going to line up and play at the beginning of the season, but given the talent, given the connection, what do you get the sense of as far as how the injury affects where you might start considering David Ajabo at this point?
Yeah, I think, beforehand he was seen mostly as, I would say, top 20 pick. People were even taking him as high as, in the top 10, maybe the Giants at number 7. But the injury, I think, just with a lot of players, it's just the unknown. And it's just the fact that if a lot of teams, only have one first-round pick, and if they're investing that first-round pick in someone who, just suffered a major injury and you don't know exactly how he's going to come back from that, that's a big gamble to take. So I think he's falling to the last, 10 picks of the first round, could even maybe fall out of the first round. And I think if he gets into that range where he's right at the end of the first round or it's the start of the second round and no one's grabbed him yet, that's when I think Baltimore really has a case to say, hey, can we move up a few spots? Can we try to get this guy? Because of what you said, it's such a unique situation,
right,
that, Mike McDonald knows exactly who he is, what he brings to the table, and knows how to use him in his defense. So I think that's a really fascinating storyline to follow if you're a Ravens fan, because if he does start to slide, it happens. It happens with these players, and I guess luckily for him, it happened after the combine and all the showcases. So he got to, perform in front of scouts and everything, but it's going to be a big red flag because you just don't know. You hope he comes back 100%, 110%, but there's doubt there. And with doubt, your draft value and your draft stock goes down. So I think he's someone to keep an eye on. And if they can somehow get him in the second round, I think that would be a great value.
I am still very, despite, I get it, it's a significant injury, but I am still very intrigued. And as we know, that injury maybe not quite the same today as it was, say, 10, 15 years ago. So I remain very intrigued about David Ajabo. All right, let's go to the cornerbacks. Kyle Stackpole is with us from CBSSports.com. Kyle, just how interchangeable is this group of corners? I think there's a consensus forming that Sauce Gardner is the top of them. For example, I see you have Andrew Booth all the way down at the 31st pick. I don't know if that's more about him or just sort of more about team needs, but how interchangeable is the group of McDuffie and Stingley and Booth, and maybe even let's continue to throw Sauce Gardner into that conversation. How similar are they? How close are they? Is it a scenario where, if two of them go off the board, you're just as good with the third at the 14th pick as you would have been with the first two?
Yeah, I think Sauce Gardner has definitely separated himself, and I do think that he'll end up being the first cornerback off the board. It's just a matter of where he goes off the board, because there are a couple teams in need of cornerback right before Baltimore, with the Vikings and now the Texans in the Brown spot. But I think, like I said, I think I've been undervaluing cornerback a little bit, and I think when you think about the class as a whole, I do think that it's Gardner and then maybe a little bit of a gap, and then you have McDuffie and Stingley. And then I think after that, there's a little bit more of a gap when you get to Booth and Khair Alam from Florida and those other guys. So I think if either McDuffie or Stingley are there at 14, I think that would be a solid play, because you're not going to get someone in that same tier or close to that same tier, with a second round pick. It's interesting because there's one of them's a safe play. He's had a lot of production. Trent McDuffie, I'm talking about. And the biggest knock is that he's 5'11" and a sub 30-inch arms. But aside from that, he's rock solid. He can play multiple positions. He can play man or zone coverage. He's a great athlete. He's one of the best tacklers in the class. He's instinctual. He's physical. And he would be a good addition to the secondary because they know exactly what they're going to get with him. And actually our draft analyst, Ryan Wilson, talked to McDuffie at the Combine and said that McDuffie's telling NFL teams that he can play safety too. So he's just someone that you can move around, and he would be a huge piece of that secondary with, they have a couple of really high-end guys, but the depth has really taken a hit, and you know what happens with injuries in Baltimore.
Shoot, boy, did we see that a year ago, Kyle.
Exactly.
Boy, did we see that.
So he's one where if you want more of a safer pick, you go with him. But then Derek Stingley, he's more of a wild card because entering the 2021 season, he was looked at as the consensus top cornerback.
Right.
And
like a top 5 caliber pick is the way that he was being discussed.
Yep, top 5 caliber pick. And it really, a lot of it hinged on what he did in 2019 when, as a freshman, when he was, led the SEC 6 interceptions and 15 passes defended. But then 2020 wasn't as good, and then 2021 he gets hurt 3 games into the season and has foot surgery, and we haven't seen him at the showcases and the Combine. And we'll see him at his pro day, which I think will be big just to see how he's moving around. But he's someone that I think one team could fall in love with. I mean, he can still go in the top 10, or teams are a little bit wary and they don't want to take a chance on someone who maybe isn't as safe, and then maybe he drops. But I think it depends on how the Ravens really evaluate these guys. I think McDuffie is more of I don't think he'll last to number 20, even though I had him going 25. I think I had him definitely going too low, whereas Stingley's more of a guy that you could see him drop. So, but I think either guy, depending on how Washington or how the Ravens view each player, could be a good pick at number 14.
And then, Kyle, let's touch on center a little bit. And I feel like there's one name we're really discussing, but I want to expand it if I could for a second. I'll start with Linderbaum. Is he someone you can take? There is a belief that you draft Tyler Linderbaum, you might have not only a plug-and-play center, but a guy that could be your center for the better part of a decade. And if that's the case, can you do that at 14? Can you value the position just because of the quality of the player enough that you could take him that early in the first round?
Yeah, I think you can, just because of he is, one of the better prospects at that position in recent years. And if you can, even though, it is centered and it is undervalued compared to some of the other offensive line positions, if you can get a guy who is going to compete at a Pro Bowl caliber level, all pro caliber level, if he, does what keeps developing as he should for 10 years, and you don't have to worry about that, and you can pair him with Lamar Jackson, and you never have to worry about any of that, I think it's worth using a top 15 pick. Top 10, I think, different story, but top 15, I think if you really love the player and he's by far the best center in the class and one of the best offensive linemen, I think that you shouldn't worry about what history says or what other people say about the value of the position and if he's worth it at that pick. But I think where it comes into play of whether they'll pick him or not is more just about the Ravens. They just don't seem to invest much at that position. I mean, you just talked to Bradley Bozeman, played great last year, and Baltimore lets him go to the Panthers for 1 year, $2.5 million. So if they can't even keep a guy that played really solid last year and they let him walk for a 1 year deal,
it's a fair point.
Then how are you going to expect them to invest a top 15 pick on a center? So I think that it would be worth it for them. I wouldn't say that that's a bad pick if the Ravens went him there. I just don't see it happening based on their history.
And then, Kyle, last one for you. Is there a Creed Humphrey in this draft? Is there a guy that isn't a first-round pick? And remember, Humphrey was the back end of the second round, right? Like, is there a guy like that you look at and say, yeah, but this dude really could be a starting center basically on day one. He can play the position, and maybe it wouldn't be Creed Humphrey because we think Creed Humphrey might be a rock star, right? But it is somebody that could solidify the position on day one that you don't have to invest the same capital that you would to get a Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, I think someone maybe to look at would be Cameron Jurgens out of Nebraska. He had a pretty solid NFL combine, and he's someone that is – because I feel like everyone is so caught up in Linderbaum because he is one of the top offensive lineman prospects regardless of position, that they're not really talking about the other guys at that position in this class. So I think if I would say definitely him from Nebraska. And then Dylan Parham, from Memphis, he's got guard center flexibility. So I think he's someone that could potentially be someone that steps in and if they think he's ready, could start at center right away.
Okay.
And another guy, he didn't play center in college, but Zion Johnson from Boston College, he played tackle,
right?
But he was playing some center at the Senior Bowl, and he was also playing some guard, so he can line up anywhere. The only thing with him is, I think he's probably going to go in the back end of the first round, just because he is scheme versatile. And if teams draft in the first round, they're probably not going to put him at center. But those are just a couple of names to keep an eye on. I would say Cam Jurgens definitely as they're looking in the second round.
Zion Johnson actually from Bowie originally, kind of a unique local connection. Great stuff as always, Kyle. What should we be plugging for you? Obviously, people can see what it is that you're doing at CBSSports.com. You want to get a more generic CBS, push out what you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, so every Tuesday we have our 3 draft analysts coming out with we started with top 50 draft boards. We're going to be extending that. Ryan Wilson just came out with his top 100, and we'll have a couple, our other 2 guys having their top 100 in the next couple weeks. And then if you just search, CBS prospect rankings, we have the top 400 guys up right now, and we're going to be adding a bunch of great stuff to that. We're all strengths and weaknesses, NFL comparison, accolades, just basically a one-stop shop for if you're looking to get to know a guy in the NFL draft, regardless if he's a first-round pick or maybe he's going to be a undrafted free agent, then CBS Sports is the place to go. So definitely CBSSports.com. Go to the NFL page, go to the draft page, and check out all the stuff we got going on.
Good news for you. You don't have to go back and transcribe this interview afterwards. You don't have to do that. At Kyle F. Stackpole on Twitter. That's how you follow him. Kyle, proud of you, man. Always appreciate taking the time for us. Let's try to squeeze one more in before the draft, all right?
Definitely. Appreciate it, Glenn.
That's Kyle Stackpole from CBSSports.com joining us for this week's NFL Draft segment. Appreciate him doing that and all the great work that he's been doing since once upon a time he was hanging out with us.
Too much there?
What do you mean?
The transcribing of the quotes.
Oh, no. What? So he used to, I don't know if you guys peel back the curtain. Most press box interns, one of their big responsibilities is to transcribe our interviews.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's
gotcha.
what they do. Like, it's one of the biggest things they do during the course of the semester. I always apologize at the end of the semester. I'm so sorry for how much you had to hear my stupid voice during the course of this year. I hate, I think everybody that's ever transcribed hates. There's nobody else you find on the planet. It's like, man, I tell you what I really love doing. Transcribing. God, it sucks. But I appreciate all the hard work that everybody puts in. So that was the joke was that you don't have to go back because you're not It's been a long time since Kyle was in. He's done a lot of things.
I thought you were talking about my burning fingers over here.
That's not what I was saying at all. Not at all. All right, today's show. You know what? Actually, a reminder, a little bit later on this morning, we'll have Weekend at Bookies for you. That's coming up at 11:40 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Andrew Stetka will give us his stats and figures for the week. He was, I think, pretty 50-50 on the last show. And Brad Feinberg from Bet Prep will join us as well to talk a little NCAA tournament betting. That is coming up a little bit later on, 11:40 every other Thursday for Weekend at Bookies. Simply the bets at 11:40 every Tuesday. All brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Speaking of betting, the dream is over. We will not be doing any more spring training betting. I decided to ride one more just to see if I could touch this, I feel like I was touching the face of God by winning a spring training bet 2 days ago. So I decided to see if I could make lightning strike twice. And boy, did it not. It did not.
Put the dope in dopamine.
Oh, man, no doubt. Not a great night for that. So I believe we will be canceling that. Although I did have a thought last night. I was like, I should have seen this coming. Teams tend to care in spring training a little bit more when it's a night game. Night game at home. I should have seen this coming. You know who's playing a night game at home tonight? The Orioles are.
He's back that quickly.
Nah, but they're gonna be favorites, I would assume. So I can't go back to the well.
Against the Red Sox?
Yeah, because the teams don't actually send players on the road.
They do now. They are
send
this
a pitcher. The Orioles haven't been doing that.
Yes, they did. They had a pretty representative lineup last night.
Maybe last night. The night before, they most certainly did not.
And
on the road.
I did say he's gonna be sending a lot of guys on the road. They had 7 guys.
Really?
Yeah, they had 7
That's
guys
reckless. That's just plain reckless.
They have
I don't know what.
They had a
I don't
3-week
care.
period.
There's still no reason to be doing that. Yeah. Someone's going to get hit by a pitch by some slappy that shouldn't be pitching.
Jordan Westberg got hit by a pitch last
See?
night.
This is what I'm talking about. Now, Jordan Westberg obviously wasn't in the Major League plans, so it's a little bit different. But
he's a man. He took it like a champ.
Oh, there you go. I like that. I do like that, man. I am dude, there was somebody that Towson baseball game I went to on Sunday. There was somebody from Princeton who got hit, and we were sitting right behind home plate, and it hurt me, sitting behind home plate.
How'd you pull those tickets?
Well, everything. I got to give Towson baseball a whole lot of credit. Everything's free. You just wander over. We had no idea what we were getting into. We were just looking for something to do with the kids on Sunday, so I'm like, I'll go watch some of the Towson baseball game. Just walk right in. Sit right down, baby. Let your hair hang out. The whole thing.
You can stand on that little overpass walkway thing and watch.
You could do that if you would like.
I've done that a couple times.
We've thought about maybe because we're definitely gonna go back for the Maryland game for sure. We're gonna go back for that. That's a midweek game. And we've talked about hey, if we don't have anything else to do on a Sunday and they're at home, it's a great thing to do. A lot of people bring and sit up on the other hill. So they'll bring blankets or they'll bring chairs and sit up there. But we sat in the bleachers right behind home plate, and I heard this dude get hit by a pitch, and I was like, oh, my God. I collapsed. And he just slammed the bat down and walked right to first base. No problem whatsoever.
You can't rub it, man.
It
can hurt like the dickens. You can't rub it.
Phew. Tough guys. All right, when we come back in, Dan Connolly's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. We will talk about the future of Trey Mancini. Is there a chance Trey Mancini doesn't even make it to opening day? We'll talk about that with Dan Connolly. That's on the way. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Glory Days Grill's St. Patrick's menu is now in full swing, and it's their most popular seasonal menu all year. New in 2022 are their smoky thigh wings with Guinness grilling sauce, a house-made Guinness barbecue sauce. Fan favorites also include their corned beef and cabbage, the shepherd's pie with Guinness braised ground beef, the Glory Days Reuben, and the Rachel. Enjoy a pint of Guinness or Guinness Baltimore Blonde. The St. Patrick's menu is available for the whole month of March. Come in for great food, cold beer, and basketball. Find out more about Glory Days Grill and get your order in online at glorydaysgrill.com.
The newest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Maryland men's basketball's 2002 NCAA Tournament Championship, as Gary Williams reflects on how the program rose from the ashes of NCAA sanctions to the pinnacle of the sport, and why his perspective of the title run has changed now 2 decades later. Plus, Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter, and the rest of the team relive the moments that ultimately led them to cutting down the nets in Atlanta. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
There's so much going on, obviously. We've been talking a lot about the football free agency, the NCAA tournament the last couple of weeks, baseball being back. That it kind of lost in the shuffle is the fact that it's a huge weekend and week for qualifying for the World Cup. It's the final stage of World Cup qualifying. Glenn Clark Radio brought to you today by Underdog Fantasy Football. You can play Underdog Fantasy Football. You can get free money to play Underdog Fantasy Football. Download the Underdog app. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. You use the code PRESSBOX. Make a deposit up to $100. We'll match it with free money for you to play with. Great baseball contests coming. Basketball, hockey going on right now. And the great thing about Underdog is even though you can't bet on your phone or your computer yet in the state of Maryland, you can feel like you're betting by playing player props, parlays, things like that, and it's all very much legal with Underdog Fantasy Football. So tonight, the U.S. plays Mexico in World Cup qualifying. They've got 2 more matches after that, this coming Sunday and then next Wednesday. They host Panama, and then they wrap it up with Costa Rica in qualifying. The U.S. currently sits tied for second on the table behind Canada. Canada with 25 points because now Canada is just a soccer power, which is it's a weird thing for me to figure out, but it's what it is. U.S. and Mexico tied at 21 points. So getting a point tonight essentially kind of wraps it up. The top 3 teams qualify. Panama is sitting in 4th with 17 points. They play Honduras. They're almost certainly going to get 3 points there. If you can just get a draw and then maybe a draw against Panama, you're good. You're good. You win the night, man, it's over, right? Like, it's over. Obviously, the U.S. has struggled over the years in Mexico, although recently the U.S. has been quite dominant against Mexico. You'd like to see that continue tonight. I say I'm confident. I'm confident, but it's one of those nervously confident because of what we saw the last time around in qualifying. The U.S. is in good shape in general because they got the job done against Honduras to make sure they control their own destiny. But they can't fall on their face over the course of the next week and just completely crap out. I mean, like that, you can't help but be nervous. You just can't help. Go win the night. You feel really good. Just go win the night, and there's almost no thought whatever. Even if you get a draw, you're going to feel pretty good about where the U.S. is going into the final 2 qualifiers. So that's big. That's coming up over the course of the next week. Again, tonight it starts when they take on Mexico. That's on CBS Sports Network. And then Panama on Sunday, Costa Rica next Wednesday in the finale of World Cup qualifying. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to get to this morning, this came to me from Darren. Darren says, Glenn, I'm sure that you're very happy about the Ghost Runner thing. I am. It is going to happen. That's official. The Ghost Runner and the extra inning rule will continue for 2022.
Only for that.
Don't read ahead, Paul.
Sorry.
God.
I just want your take on it.
Darren follows up by saying, are you mad that they're not making it permanent? Do you think that something could still come there? I got into this conversation with our buddy Justin Labor yesterday, and he knows how much I love the extra inning rule. And he pointed out that, like, he's as invested. He's like you. He's a baseball nerd. And he pointed out that there had been some talk that it could continue. They would just want to maybe tinker with it moving forward. That moving forward, they'd want to think about whether or not they wait until the 11th inning to do it, or maybe they put the Ghost Runner on second but start the inning with 1 out or something like that. I declare a pox on all of that conversation. Shenanigans. Nonsense. What are we doing? I mean, what in the world are we... This is the way. You've played a baseball game. You've done that. Why do we need one more inning? You've played an entire baseball game's worth of baseball.
And not to mention, isn't baseball the only sport, if they were to take away the ghost runner, the only sport that doesn't have a change?
Something
to the
unique
game?
about it?
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue basketball doesn't ever really change except the fact that it's shorter period of time, right?
Yeah.
But it's still the same. The rules are all still the same.
Right.
And I guess football, the rules are all still the same. It's just you do the weird bit where if a team scores a touchdown, you don't let the other team see the ball.
There's something wonky about it.
There is something wonky. You're right about that. There's something wonky about everything. Sure.
Except
There's something
baseball.
wonky about everything but baseball. This is the best product. This is the stuff. This is that dopamine we're talking about. This is winning a bet on a spring training baseball game. It's the good stuff, baby. 1 year, the hell with 1 year, make it eternal, and then rip up the rule book so it may never be changed. This is the way. There is no need to play another inning or another 2 innings of the other style. Forget it. Do this. Get to the part that's great. Get to the part where you get action, where you get guys making decisions, where it's fun, strategy, all of it. Get to it already. Don't wait. So yeah, I'm happy they're doing it this year. I hope that they get things figured out so it's something they continue to do moving forward because it is outstanding, the extra inning rule. Know the risks and have a plan before you start gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you subscribe to The Athletic, and if you don't, you're insane. If you subscribe to The Athletic, you read a really interesting piece that our friend Dan Connolly wrote about Trey Mancini's future, which might be very short here in Baltimore. I don't want to give all of it away because I want you to go read it, and we'll share it out on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio for those of you that haven't read it just yet. It's an outstanding piece, of course, from our friend Dan Connolly, who covers the Orioles for The Athletic, and he's with us now here on GCR. Dan, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm really got it. Can I just lay all this out on the table for you when I have this conversation?
Okay.
I get it, right? Like, I get that there is something to be said for what is Trey Mancini's real baseball role with this team long term, right? Like, what is that? And I'm not dismissive of the fact that maybe his personal timeline doesn't really fit in with the timeline of the organization. But the flip side of it is, what real demand is there? As you point out, like, what really are you even getting back in a Trey Mancini trade? As we've talked about ad nauseum over the years, like, everybody's got their own Trey Mancini within their organization, on their team. Like, there is no real demand. And wouldn't the same thing be said if you hit the open market? Like, what is the real demand for Trey Mancini on the open market? If the Orioles are ever going to spend money, I mean, like, ever going to actually spend money, why wouldn't it be logical for them to spend what would seem to be a fairly minimal amount of money in order to have Trey Mancini stick around?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept to me overall, and I'm not coming out too harshly on this. As you said, I get it. I get the understanding of where does he fit, what his age is, all of that, and I understand that, and I understand that they are building from the bottom up, and a lot of these guys are coming up. That said, this guy is a good major leaguer. I mean, he is not a guy that anyone's going to throw major money at. But he's a good, solid major leaguer who makes the players around him better in the clubhouse and on the field. He's an 800-plus OPS guy, and that includes a year in which he was battling back from cancer and still played 147 games. This is a good major leaguer. He's not a guy that people are going to go crazy for on the open market or, in trades, and the Orioles are not going to get much for him. Like I said, they'll get a player or two, not a top 10 prospect or something like that, but they'll get a player or two, as Mike Elias has in these other trades. And, Elias has been fairly effective in getting guys who at least look like usable parts, if nothing more. Certainly guys who fit into that prospect status for the Orioles. We'll see what that translates to.
Right.
But I think the whole thing is here, and I've said this a lot of times, to me, he's more valuable to the Orioles than he is to anybody else.
Of course.
And he's more valuable to the Orioles fan base, for sure, than anyone else.
Dan, I guess, boy, I'm trying to, as I bring this out further, I think that some of the fear that I feel here is less about Trey Mancini and more about, like, what are you willing to spend money on? Like, there's got to be a point. You know, I know that there was the weird Carlos Correa thing that percolated for a little bit, but if this thing is going to work out, you're going to have to, you and I have talked, you know, I know how much you've written about the lack of pitching within the system and the need for pitching. You're going to have to spend money at some point. This is not an extreme amount. I can't fathom this is an extreme amount of money that we're talking about. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Trey Mancini's got weird demands. I just can't fathom that.
No, and my sense is it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be completely out of the, you know, my sense is it would be in the range of what everyone would expect it to be in. But again, what we got to figure out here, what we must parse is whether what you said is correct and what are you going to spend the money on, or if they just look at this as no fit as far as the organization is concerned, as far as a 30-year-old first baseman, you know, right-handed hitter who doesn't really play outfield particularly well and would have to DH, and maybe you have other guys coming up. It does not fit. And a guy, you know, another player who's a 27 who plays a different position that you really need that you know, maybe that's different. Maybe if Ryan Mountcastle wasn't Ryan Mountcastle, that'd be different. And I think that's really the question here. Is it they just don't see a fit, or they just aren't spending money? And, you know, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I do know that they didn't pursue any type of extension with him. But again, that could go really either way. They don't see him as a fit, or they know they can't afford him based on what the numbers are, based on what the Orioles, you know, management or Orioles ownership expects the numbers to be. So I don't know that. And I know, you know, I mean, I think some people thought this piece was critical of Elias. It's really not. He's in a difficult spot.
Sure,
to be
of
honest.
course. Right.
I mean, he is in a spot where if he doesn't re-sign this guy, then, you know, you're killing the spirit of a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm.
If he does re-sign the guy may not fit into what they're trying to do. And if he trades him, he's probably not going to get much out of this. So this is not a great situation for Mike Elias.
He is Dan Connolly. He's with us here on GCR. Dan, to your point, a trade on paper, because, again, we're assuming you can't get much back, would simply look like a salary dump and nothing else. The optics of that, and we've had the optics conversation this week with the arbitration situation, the optics of just trading Trey Mancini for nothing would look like a salary dump. And I think that's the difficult. You're so right about there being two separate conversations, right? But that's where it seems like they bleed in together. There's an emotional tie to Trey Mancini that will not go away. And as I said before, it's not only about him battling cancer. It's about him stepping up and being a community leader in what has been a very difficult time for this franchise, and being a guy that people could look to and could make them proud to be Orioles fans, despite the fact there wasn't a whole lot to be proud about in those moments. That is
Here's the thing, like, you do not want to make decisions on your baseball club, if you're Mike Elias, based on what the fans think, based on how a guy fits in the community. That's obviously a plus. But bottom line here, especially on a team that's so terrible, you don't want to make those decisions specifically to what has become popular. The Orioles did not want to let another player go, a homegrown-esque type player go, so they signed Chris Davis to a ridiculous deal that is still biting them.
Mm-hmm.
But that was popular at the time with a chunk of the fan base, okay? So you don't want to make those decisions based on that. But let me take it a bit of a step further here. And you can point to Ryan Zimmerman or others, but Freddie Freeman most recently. Obviously, Freeman is a tremendous player. But I truly believe what happens in the clubhouse, the cohesiveness in the clubhouse, the learning in the clubhouse, is extremely important.
Sure.
And I have seen good young players being taken under the wings of the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And not developing the way they should. Not taking things as seriously, not, you know, maybe having baseball as a secondary thing and money being the first. I've seen it firsthand. And I've also seen when guys who are true role models, the Nelson Cruzes, the Nick Markakises, when those guys, the J.J. Hardys, when those guys take players under their wing and I've seen them keep them tight and show them the right way to do it. And I think that goes a long way. And when you have such a young team, Glenn, in my opinion anyway, when you have such a young team, you need somebody who's been through it. And no one's been through it more than Trey Mancini, right?
Yep.
So to me, that is what the extra money here is for. To me, that is, even if you're giving him an $8 million for just this year, to me, that is showing him that, hey, yeah, that means something. And you can crunch all the numbers you want, and people who aren't in clubhouses can tell me that does make a difference. But I covered that 12 to 16 team, and I covered all those bad teams before it and bad teams after it.
Right.
And the culture and the character of the players who are leading is exceptionally important.
That's well said. Dan Connolly with us on GCR. Dan, if I could bleed it into the other side of the conversation, separated from the Trey Mancini situation, it would seem as though next offseason would be the first time, if Adley Rutschman gets here, and I know the injury complicates it, but we don't think it's that significant yet. If he gets here and he looks like we think Adley Rutschman might look, if Grayson Rodriguez gets here at some point, do you have a gut feeling as to whether the organization starts to say, okay, and I'm not suggesting they're going to go out and spend $300 million on a baseball player next offseason, but that they start next year to say, maybe we need to look to start fortifying things? Do you have a gut as to the timeline? Is next offseason the first time they might start adding some pieces?
I would think it's an off season that they might. They're not going 0 to 60 here. Let's face it. They aren't going from this to two $200 million guys or 5 guys they bring in for $100 million or more. That's not going to happen. But will they start to try to increase that sum? Yes. I think they'll make more of a play on the pitching side next year, simply because I think they're going to need it again, one. And two, I think that because of the effect of the ballpark and pushing the left field wall back, they're hopeful that maybe pitchers who are kind of gauging the market won't be immediately scared off by Camden Yards,
right?
To start. At least you can get in your foot in the door. So I do think that they will have more discussions next year. I don't know how much that will play into payroll, but I do think that they feel like next year they're going to be starting, maybe phase 2, if you will. But again, it depends on what the team looks like. I mean, it is impossible for us to decide now what they're going to be doing in October. I mean, we talked this time last year, and you would have said, so who do you think is going to be the center fielder? You think Mullins has enough in him?
It's such a great point.
Right?
Yep, it's a great point.
And so we don't know, and that's the beauty of baseball. It's going to play out in front of us. We don't know if John Means will be a Cy Young candidate or if he'll be hurt for 5 months.
Right.
We don't know any of this.
Or if Kyle Bradish is suddenly the biggest rock star pitching prospect that we, these are all fair comments.
Or all those guys do what they did last year.
Yep.
That's the beauty of baseball. The one thing that I do think is certain, unfortunately for Orioles fans, and I try to tell it the way it is I don't see them getting I see another 100-loss season in 2022, simply not just because of I'm not sure what this whole team looks like, but because the division is better, and the division already was really good, and it's super really good now.
That's a great point. I do, and it's we agree on that, but as I said to a couple people, I think it's a more watchable version of a 100-loss team simply because there will start to be more pieces here that we think could factor into the equation long term. I think there's more of a reason for you to wander to a ballpark or to turn on your TV this summer, even as things aren't going well, because there's more of these pieces that you want to get to know a little bit more and start seeing a foundation be laid.
I would totally agree, and that's where I kind of wonder about the Mancini thing, because he is a guy that people do enjoy watching. He is a guy that fans have gravitated toward. So you have him there, and you have Mountcastle, who's kind of becoming that guy, and you have Mullins that everyone loved watching last year, and we all like the way Hayes plays. And now you see Rutschman come up, and maybe Rodriguez comes up, and you got to kind of watch John Means every 5th day, right? So you're starting to get those pieces, and I think eliminating those pieces if you don't have to, that's what I kind of wonder about, honestly, is why eliminate a piece if you don't have to? People are saying, well, all these outfielders coming up, DH is going to be more difficult. Sure, if Kyle Stowers comes up as the guy you hope he can be. If Yosniel Diaz finally stays healthy. I mean, this guy has not been healthy in the Orioles uniform since they traded for him in 2018. He hasn't made his major league debut yet. So you're going to kick Trey Mancini out because of Yosniel Diaz? I mean, I think you have to see who these guys are before you decide, to get rid of pieces that people want to see.
I know there's no real take to have. It's just, boy, you start, your heart starts to ache for Heston Kjerstad at some point, right? Like, my God,
Absolutely.
man. What this is unfair isn't even the word. I don't know the word to describe just how truly, wretched this is, everything this young man has had to go through.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we were talking about, the myocarditis, the heart condition. We're talking about a life, changing, potentially life-ending situation that he was dealing with. So that had nothing to do with baseball. It had to do with this young man's future and his future health. And so that was really scary. And then it seems like he's finally through that. And then he gets injured diving for a ball, has, this hamstring injury. It's a severe hamstring injury. He's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks. And what adds insult to the injury is that it was on a ball hit by Adley Rutschman, who ended up getting a inside the park home run, and then woke up the next day with elbow soreness, which became a triceps injury, which is now 2 to 3 weeks out for him. So in one play, the Orioles. I shouldn't say one play because we don't know what happened with exactly what the Rutschman injury ended up being.
Right.
But the one play that was the two main guys, the Orioles two of the main guys the Orioles are looking at, and both of them are lost for at least a small amount of time.
All right. Before I let you go, Dan, I love the extra inning rule, and I sing it from the mountaintops. I thought I was going to hate it. It's baseball. It's action. It's strategy. It's all the things that as a child made me fall in love with the game. It's not guys standing there and swinging for home runs until 3 a.m. when people need to go to work the next day and you can't sell any more commercials or any more beer at the ballpark anyway. I'm glad they're bringing it back for one more year. I hope it becomes permanent. Where are you? There are baseball people that just truly hate the idea of anything that's different. Where are you with the extra inning rule?
Okay, I am 100% torn, okay? And I'll tell you why.
All right.
Because as the baseball fan and purist in me, I say don't give anybody an advantage. Let them figure it out. There's nothing cooler than being on your seat for 15 innings, nibbling at your fingernails, saying, is it finally going to break through? Or are they finally going to score a run? The flip side of me says, I'm a baseball writer. We don't cheer for teams. We cheer for the quickest game possible.
Exactly.
The most interesting game possible.
Right.
And I was in Seattle for an 18, 19-inning game one time.
5 a.m, yeah.
And I wanted to bang my head against the wall, right?
Yep.
Because I still had to write afterwards. I was still working, right? And so from someone, they had 18 extra inning games in 2012. And I think the majority of them were 15 or more innings. That's brutal, So from a sports writer, from a baseball overall person, let's get these games going as fast as they can. You said it still is baseball.
Yep.
It's just putting an extra runner on there. Now, I'd like them to earn it, but it does speed it up. And I think one of the things you want to do is see action, and this does create some more action.
It reminds me of what I liked. Dan, I'm telling you, the thing where everybody's just up there trying to hit a home run, and it's just a bunch of strikeouts, and I'm out. I'm out. Give me the action. Give me the baseball. I'm such a fan of it.
Let me throw one more thing at
Okay.
you. I love the 7-inning doubleheader.
Really?
I love it.
Really?
I love it. The players love it. The pitchers love it. It just makes sense to me to go 7 innings on doubleheader. You're still getting 14 innings. If you're doing a 7-inning doubleheader, you're not going to have a split doubleheader.
Right.
The fans that come in, they get all 14 innings that they want. And it just, to me, it is one of those things that, let's face it, the 9th inning is always the most tense, assuming it's a fairly tight game. And you're just dropping it 2 innings earlier. And and again, I'm not saying 7-inning baseball. I'm saying 7-inning doubleheaders. When the doubleheaders come, instead of splitting them, give a 7 each. That allows the fans to absorb it all if they want, and it just doesn't elongate it too much.
So the argument about the bang for your buck, I'm listening. The idea being that most teams with doubleheaders anymore, we're trying to do split admission doubleheaders.
Almost exclusively.
Right. And so the idea of saying, hey, anytime there's a doubleheader now, you're going to get 14 innings worth of baseball for the price of 9. And, from a sheer economical standpoint, I'm on board. The way I described it is I don't have a strong feeling about this one. I didn't think it was necessary to keep the 7-inning doubleheaders, and so baseball games are supposed to be 9, sure, play 9-inning games. But from the argument of the consumer and saying, this is my excuse, I don't go to the ballpark every day, I might go 5 times a year. If I see there's going to be a doubleheader and it's a single admission doubleheader, I'm more inclined to want to go to the ballpark because I'm getting more bang for my buck. It's a really good argument. That's a really good argument for, hey, we don't have that many of these things anyway during the course of a normal season. Why not do it this way to try to get a few more people to come out to the ballpark that are, pinching pennies or having to make economic decisions because, we're in the midst of terrible inflation and gas prices through the roof at the moment, right? Like, I'm listening particularly to that argument as being kind of strong, Dan.
Right. And when I was growing up in Baltimore,
Yep.
there was nothing cooler to me than my dad gets off of work. There's a 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock doubleheader starter. I think it was probably started at 5 something. My dad would get off work. We'd go down to Memorial Stadium, and we'd get 2 games for one.
Yeah.
I'm a 12-year-old kid, a 13-year-old kid. That was the greatest thing ever. When they went to the split doubleheaders, it killed doubleheaders because, you don't get that extra. You don't get that free baseball, if you will. And so I think the 7-inning thing brings that back a little bit. Baseball's nostalgia, right? Let's face it.
Yep.
So to me, that's great. And again, I get paid whether it's 7 innings, 9 innings, 12 innings, whatever, Glenn.
I hear you. Dan, you're making a very compelling argument to me about why it would be a good thing moving forward. It's a really compelling argument as we try to do things to get people to want to go back to the ballpark and all of that. I think it's something that baseball has to think about. Obviously, in St. Louis, they don't have to think about it too much. But in most markets, they have to think about it. And yeah, that would be a way to go about saying, hey, look, I can name people in my life that would be more inclined to go because they were getting 2 games and otherwise would say, nah, I'm not. I know those people in my life. It's a very compelling argument, my friend.
Right, we're Americans. We like BOGO, right?
We are. You're right.
Right now, I'm looking at my 2 shelter dogs, and they were BOGO dogs because they had to be attached. So I got to buy one, get one free dog pair.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you're going to the game to see 2.
Good on you for doing that, Dan Connolly. We are rescue. We are adoptive pet parents ourselves. We love Show Your Soft Side. And, that's an awesome thing, man. At Dan Connolly 2016 is how you follow him. If you're not subscribed to The Athletic, I can't fathom who you are because the content is just way too good. My friend, I always appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time for us. Let's do this again as we get into the season.
You got it. Take care.
It's Dan Connolly from The Athletic. Appreciate him hopping on with us. I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about the doubleheader thing, truthfully. It's just easier for me to say, hey, you don't need to do that anymore. Baseball's supposed to be 9 innings. Play 9 innings, right? But really looking at it specifically from the front of, can we create something that can get people to go to the ballpark? I'm telling you, I know these people because they called me and said, hey, there's a single admission doubleheader on Saturday. Do you want to go? Mm-hmm. That are more inclined to go because they're the type that gripe about the costs of going to the ballpark, not just the tickets, but all of the above, the parking, the getting in, the food, the whole deal, and say, if I'm going to do it, I might as well get 2 games worth of entertainment for me. And Dan's point being, if you're doing 7-inning doubleheaders, there's never going to be another split admission doubleheader. Mm-hmm. You're not charging 2 admissions for 7-inning games. It makes sure that permanently all doubleheaders are single admission doubleheaders, and it's one more unique, like giveaways are, like, LGBTQ night at the ballpark, like all of those theme nights. It's one more unique thing to have to try to coerce a certain group of people to come to the ballpark that otherwise might not.
I'll tell you, his argument was the only one that's ever made me go, I can see that. From a consumer standpoint, yeah, you're getting more bang for your buck. From a baseball purist standpoint, baseball's 9 innings.
I understand that, and I've defaulted to that. But knowing, again, this year it's a little bit different because they were trying to keep it within the same time frames of the schedule. In a normal year, doubleheaders are not going to be scheduled.
Right.
They will be rare, and they will only be related to rainouts. And so in a normal year, we're talking about what? 1, maybe 2 doubleheaders during the course of a year?
It rains a lot in Baltimore in April and May.
Yeah, but they also have off days in order to move those games later in the season. They don't immediately make them doubleheaders when that happens. They're more inclined to put it on an off day. I would have to go back and look at 2019 and figure out how many doubleheaders there were, but I don't think it was a significant number. I'm listening on the idea of doubleheaders being 7-inning, as long as you can keep it provides you the opportunity to keep them all as single admission doubleheaders. That to me is the win of all of that, is that never again will you have a split admission doubleheader, because it's just a day for everybody to come down to the ballpark. I like it. All right. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. When we come back in, we're going to get a tidbit. We'll get tubular. We'll wrap up this show and then get you ready for Weekend at Bookies. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Answering Baltimore's calls for help, running in when others run away, working together toward one shared vision for a thriving city. That's your Baltimore Police. But the department needs more good people, people like you. Join a proud new generation of Baltimore Police and make an active difference in your community. Start with competitive wages and excellent benefits on day one. Join for good at bpdrecruit.org.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets with Glenn Clark and Paul Valley every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and even a few winners. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday at 11:40 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Glory Days Grill's St. Patrick's menu is now in full swing, and it's their most popular seasonal menu all year. New in 2022 are their smoky thigh wings with Guinness grilling sauce, a house-made Guinness barbecue sauce. Fan favorites also include their corned beef and cabbage, the shepherd's pie with Guinness braised ground beef, the Glory Days Reuben, and the Rachel. Enjoy a pint of Guinness or Guinness Baltimore Blonde. The St. Patrick's menu is available for the whole month of March. Come in for great food, cold beer, and basketball. Find out more about Glory Days Grill and get your order in online at glorydaysgrill.com.
Baseball is back. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
You can find us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon talking all things Orioles and Major League Baseball.
Like the debuts of Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez.
And how the rotation and bullpen are rounding into form. Watch us live at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and facebook.com/PressBoxSports.
Or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio.
That's the Bat Around, live with the latest in baseball coverage every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
We can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can watch GCR live. It's at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. And try to guess whether these guys are wearing any pants.
All right, we haven't done a Finish This in a long time, and I've been meaning to do a Finish This for a while, so I don't know if we can squeeze this in quickly. We will give it a shot. Finish This is brought to you today by the print issue of PressBox, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. That's Gary Williams on the cover. You know him. He used to coach at Maryland, and 20 years ago, he won the national championship, and now Kevin Willard's going to try to repeat that. We celebrate that 20th anniversary of the title run. On the cover, you see Gary Williams right there. All right, so you ready? You think you can do this? Here's a Finish This for you.
I've gotten better, I feel like.
In fact, part of the reason, those of you that asked me about Finish This, part of the reason I haven't done it, and I'm not even kidding about this, so many of the stories I find have already been shared on Twitter by Jeremy Kahn.
Yeah.
And honest to God, like, I just sort of assume that everybody that listens to this show probably follows Jeremy Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I certainly know you do. So it's just going to be very difficult content-wise for me to bring up a story and you'd be like, oh, yeah, I just saw that on Jeremy's Twitter last night. Like, he's just doing this bit where all of these WTF type of stories he's sharing out. Mm-hmm. So it's made it more difficult for me to find something. This is actually a sports story. Japanese blank has blanked. Japanese blank has blanked his blank to blank blank. Japanese blank has blanked his blank to blank blank.
Japanese pitcher has changed his throwing arm to other side.
Changed is correct. Changed is correct. I'm going to even give you one more word to try to move this along. Japanese baseball blank has changed his blank to blank blank.
So obviously a Japanese baseball player.
It is not.
What?
It is not.
Fan.
No.
Why am I just guessing one word?
Yeah, right? Do the bit.
Yeah. Japanese baseball owner has changed his team name to Hog Stuffers.
No, but name is correct. Japanese baseball blank has changed his blank name to blank blank.
So it's not pitcher and it's not player.
It's not pitcher, it's not player, it's not owner, it's not fan. You've guessed all of these things. None of them are correct.
Japanese baseball writer has changed his pen name to Dick Trickle.
Nope. Nope. Do love me some Dick Trickle, though. Big fan. Big fan.
Japanese baseball columnist.
Nope. This is actually fun for me now.
Japanese baseball mascot has changed. What the?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea who's trying to call right now. There's some wizardry going afoot. Paul unplugged the cord, and it didn't stop the phone from ringing. There is some wizardry happening right now. Oh, man, this is actually great content for me. It's what did Darren Ravel tweet? I feel bad for the Republic, but the content is tremendous. Try unplugging the other one on the bottom side. I don't know. I mean, there's nobody there. Yeah. You know what? I'll explain it to you. Once upon a time, this phone number used to be the fax line at Pressbox, and every now and then, I don't know who still faxes things.
It's got to be Stan.
No, it's not Stan. I get you're doing an old joke. I understand that. But every now and then, there's some business somewhere that just faxes things out, like, I don't know, lunch menus or something like that, and is still thinking that this is the fax line from 15 years ago or whatever it was.
Gotcha.
That's got to be what this is. The fact that it continues makes me think that's got to be what this is. Anyway.
All right, Japanese.
Just you trying to get this word is it's a delight for me.
Japanese baseball team.
Nope.
This is absurd.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's fairly easy.
Japanese baseball catcher.
Nope.
Is it a player or a position?
No form of player. Come on, man.
Dude, let me just guess the rest. Japanese baseball blank has changed his first name to Ichiro Suzuki.
No. I'm enjoying this so much
has changed
more.
his first name to his last.
No.
Because the names are backwards.
I understand that. I understand it. That's why he went Ichiro. I understand the whole deal.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
God, I'm having a good time. I just need, if nobody else is, I'm having a good
Japanese.
time. We got to wrap it up in a second.
Yeah, that's
Think
what she
about
said.
other things related to baseball. Think about other maybe people that are involved in the game on the field.
Japanese baseball manager.
Manager! Hey! We got there eventually.
Japanese baseball manager has changed his... And it's not first name, it's not last name.
It is not... No, it's not specifically.
Has changed his old name to...
No.
All right, man. I thought I was getting better at these. I got the first word. I got a word on my first guess, and nothing since.
This one made me. This one gave me joy.
Has changed his stupid name to Mike Tyson.
It's not bad. Not bad. I like that. He's changed his legal name.
Okay.
Is what you were looking for. He's changed his legal name.
I was in the ballpark.
To what would
Dan Gleesack.
No. Dan Gleesack.
Dan Gleesack.
Dan Gleesack. What would give you delight? What would just be a wonderful thing for you to find out that a baseball manager had changed his legal name to?
Hardwood.
Hardwood. I appreciate that. No, he's changed his legal name. This wasn't even a story. It was just a tweet I found from Michael Mayer this morning on Twitter that was being shared around. He is a Mets writer of some sort. Nippon Ham Fighters manager Tsuyoshi Shinjo, wasn't he a player?
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Has changed his registered name to Big Boss. I love that so much. That's the joy that I wanted you to get. How great is that story?
Big Boss.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Just do that.
It's just wonderful.
I'm going to go change my name to Head Honcho.
I love that story so much for no reason
This is
at
Glenn
all.
on Glenn Clark Radio, and there's my producer, Head Honcho.
I'm all in, man. That is a win and a half. All right, that gave me joy, but we got to wrap up because we got to start Weekend at Bookies here in a second. All right, Tidbit is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Glory Days Grill St. Patrick's menu is still available, and the great news is it's going to go through the end of the month. So if you haven't had the opportunity to take advantage of the smoky thigh wings with the Guinness grilling sauce, or the Reuben, or the Rachel, or the shepherd's pie with the Guinness braised beef, you can get over to your neighborhood Big Boss neighborhood Glory Days Grill and enjoy them right enjoy them right now.
All right, so yesterday,
or GloryDaysGrill.com to get your order in.
Yesterday, Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks. The Dolphins subsequently signed Hill to a 4-year deal worth $120 million, including about $75.5 million guaranteed. In his first 6 seasons...
You know what, Brian Powell, there was a lot of big boss man shtick that we could have done there. You're right.
Yeah.
He's going down to Cobb County. He's going to Cobb. He's going to drag Big Show's dad's coffin all around Japan.
God, that was such a terrible segment.
Painful,
oh, my gosh.
Man. I'm sorry, Brian. There was a lot of good shtick we could have done.
In his first 6 seasons, Hill has caught 479 passes for 6,630 yards and 56 touchdowns. Very good numbers, yet not close to the most yards receiving over a player's first 6 seasons. I thought we'd have a little more time for this.
All right, well.
Who are the 12 players in NFL history with over 7,000 yards receiving in their first 6 seasons? Since we're short on time, I'll give you a hint. All have played in the last 20 years except one, and that player has played in your lifetime.
Oh, God. I don't know. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, number 1, 8,375.
How about Julio Jones?
Julio Jones is 5th, 7,610.
How about Larry Fitzgerald?
Larry Fitzgerald is 11th, 7,067.
Kind of low. I'm actually a little surprised by that. How about Reggie Wayne?
No.
Surprising. Torrey Holt.
Torrey Holt is 2nd, 8,156. He and Moss, the only 2 over 8,000.
How about Calvin Johnson?
Calvin Johnson, 4th, 7,836.
How about God, kind of knocked out the obvious. I'll throw Devontae Adams in there.
No.
It's a little surprising, isn't it? Has he not gotten...
His first few years weren't as productive. He was under 1,000 yards.
Yeah, but he's been so insanely productive since then that I think they would have made up for it. Andre Johnson.
No.
That's surprising to me, too. We're going to run out of time here. Terrell Owens.
No.
No, he started off a little bit less productive. It's somehow Keenan Allen because he's just under the radar, super productive. All right, we're gonna end up having a.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Jerry Rice,
I guess I should have.
7,866 yards.
That's on me. I should have.
These are all going to be on you.
Okay, fine.
DeAndre Hopkins, 7,437.
All right.
Mike Evans, 7,260.
Yeah.
AJ Green, 7,130.
Okay.
That one's surprising.
A little.
Antonio Brown, 7,093.
Sure.
This one's really on you. Marvin Harrison, 7,007. Because you guessed Reggie Wayne.
I did.
And the last one, I
would have gotten there.
You would have eventually, if we had more time. Right. And then Sterling Sharp, 7,015.
Okay, all right. Very good. Those that was that was a good tidbit. I'm sorry we didn't have all the time to flush the trivia. That was a solid tidbit. Tubular brought to you today by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan the Fan, earlier this week, he and Ross Grimsley caught up with former Orioles skipper Dave Tremblay, who's now in the MLB Draft League. If you missed it, you can find it right now at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or by going to the video tab. PressBoxOnline.com/video, more specifically, is where you can go in order to do that for Stan's shows every Monday with Ross Grimsley talking baseball. All right, coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise, as I mentioned, it's a busy night. The NCAA tournament gets back underway. CBS, Arkansas, Gonzaga at 7, Texas Tech and Duke at 9:30. TBS from Michigan, Villanova, 7:15, Houston, Arizona at 9:45 in the Sweet 16. World Cup qualifier, U.S. Mexico at 10 on CBS Sports Network. NBC Sports, Washington Wizards, Bucks at 8. NBA TV, Suns, Nuggets at 9. ESPN, Stars, Hurricanes at 7. ESPN 2 and Hulu for Flyers, Blues at 8. Blackhawks, Kings at 10. Match play is on the Golf Channel at 2, Tennis Channel for Miami at 11 a.m. Orioles back on Masson for the first time this spring. Tonight at 6, Nick Pivetta, Bruce Zimmerman, the pitching matchup for Red Sox, Orioles. Everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. Give me 2 things that matter tonight, just non-sports-wise.
Traffickers, Inside the Golden Triangle, to HBO Max original Season 1 premiere, and Jersey Shore Family Vacation.
I believe it's the season finale, if I saw correctly. It might. I believe it is.
Of Jersey Shore?
I believe it is.
They have like 30 episodes
but these have been bad seasons. These have just been uneventful.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And, you're just watching them eat for the most part at this point.
Yeah,
but
they don't do anything controversial, like throw their heads into walls,
right.
get drunk, and steal each other's
They're still
girlfriends.
pleasant enough that you're like, I'll keep watching, but there's nothing going on there. Yeah. There's nothing to see there.
They're so classy now.
Yeah, right. That's right. All right, thanks today to Dan Connolly. Thanks also to Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, as well as to Kyle Stackpole. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Archives
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Anything that we have lined up for tomorrow? I don't know.
Angel
Reese. Angel Reese is going to join us, yes. Baltimore Zone, as the Maryland women get ready to take on Stanford in the Sweet 16. She will join us tomorrow morning from out in Spokane to talk about that. Looking forward to it. All right, a quick reminder that the Baltimore Police are looking for a few folks right now. Join a proud new generation of Baltimore Police and make an active difference in your community. Start with competitive wages and excellent benefits on day one. Join for good, bpdrecruit.org.
We do have Jeremy Chin at 10:45 tomorrow.
Jeremy Chin.
Ed Block Courage Award winner.
Okay. Sure. We'll talk to Jeremy Chin. Have a conversation about that. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Baltimore Police, Grade 8's Memorabilia, Live Casino and Hotel, Underdog Fantasy Football, Blue Line K9, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Paul at Paul Valley III. Thanks to Ryan at RecSpecs Ryan is how you follow him. At Glenn Clark Radio for us on Twitter and Instagram. Have a great Thursday night. Go U.S. Soccer. Go U.S. Soccer. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. If you're with us on audio, do nothing. We'll be back in just a minute. If you're with us on video, give us 60 seconds. Click refresh.